away some of those misnomers and correct that through education.
Well, and I'm going to add, this is why Dr. Suleiman really has been such a supporter of this group and got this thing started. He wants us to bring awareness to it, and we think there's other people that are in the schools that have it who don't know they have it.
I think you're right.
There are kids who are dying on the football field when they go out and practice, and then they have these heart attacks, and they don't understand why it is. And so, luckily, we've got Dr. Suleiman's support, and we have now other doctors who are also supporting it to get the information out. So not only do we take it for our own self or for the POTS patient, but it also educates the teachers and the nurses that if someone else comes in and is fainting like that and doesn't have the Dr. Suleiman letter, that just maybe there's a correlation.
Perfect.
2 years ago, I was at a conference for personal training, and it was mainly athletic trainers that work in high schools there. And there was a guy speaking about fainting diseases. He worked for Dr. Levine. He was talking about POTS. He never said the word POTS, but he was so describing it. So they're starting to hear some.
Yeah.
We've got to push it harder. We've got to keep going.
Is that what this is nicknamed, the fainting disease?
Well, no, because he was talking to athletic directors about why people may faint on the field or why their athletes are always fainting.
Okay.
But all of his materials and everything he was doing, because I already had the knowledge base, he was just talking about POTS because that's what he lives and what he works.
Right.
So they're starting to understand it a little bit.
Well, that's our goal for our group.
I think there needs to be some sort of education in the athletic departments, though, about pushing kids in the heat, because, even in the junior high, my younger daughter now is about to start athletics in 7th grade, and Ashley was telling her sometimes, they have to run so many miles or whatever. This is 7th graders, and if they stop, then they have to double it or whatever.
Yeah,
well,
that's it.
And
you have to do it like under 10 minutes or something.
And this is at 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
So that's where I think that Dr. Suleiman's letter is going to be profound and helping to change some of that thinking so that there could be some help. Yes,
speaking of junior high athletics, when I was in athletics, I was in cross country, and that was when I was getting really sick, especially. And I'd have a doctor's note, or I'd have a note from my mom asking not to run that day if I didn't feel well in the morning. And they would be like, "No, you've already had 3 this semester. You're done." Right. And I would be and then I would pass out in the middle of the trail off campus because we were doing cross country.
And no one was missing you.
Exactly. And the teachers, the coaches don't run with you. And so then they would be like, "Oh, she's just hot. She just was overheated." And I was like, if you listened to me when I said I was dizzy and you read my doctor's note or you read my mom's note, then you might have realized that there was actually a problem. So I really think especially junior high teachers should be aware of that. I just am bitter towards junior high, but
that's one of those things where advocacy steps in though.
Yes.
Because my coaches were actually the ones that stopped me when I didn't want to stop myself. I literally, y'all know I'm stubborn, I push myself way too hard a lot of times. I literally got pulled out of the weight room and told I could not work out outside and all these things on days when they looked at me and they said, "Your eyes don't look quite right. You're a little too pale." It was when I didn't know how to tend to my body well enough. Now, it also helped that they're friends with the family and that they understood and stuff, but you find that advocate for you on campus. So you've got them off campus, you've got them on your family and things like that, but if if the gym keeps pushing you like that, well, your biology teacher that has the heart and that understands might know the gym coach well enough to go privately and say, "What are you thinking, you idiot? You can't push her like that."
Well, and I think that was a good point Becca had about talking to the athletic trainers. I think that's a very powerful group of people that could understand some of those limitations to help curtail some of that overheating and terrible times of day that kids to do all the extraneous.
And if they show you attitude, my certification trumps theirs.
But you might want to talk to them as a parent, not the student, because I used to coach youth football. And we didn't have POTS, but we had asthma. We had a guy actually died at 18 because of an asthma attack. I coached him when he was younger, and he had to take steroids. Most of the time, if a kid walks up and tells you, "Hey, I got this, hey, I got that," they're not going to pay attention. Oh, he's just trying to get out of practice, or she's trying to get out of practice.
They do assume that.
Oh, a handwritten note from a parent? Oh, you know what? This is probably forged, and they're going to toss it out. So, I mean, that's just from being a coach of the littler kids. We took more from the parents than we did the kids.
And that's the beauty of emails now. Most school systems definitely have email that you can communicate. So, yes, Nathan.
Hi, I have some stuff to say.
Take it away, Nathan. I was coming to you. Becca just talked longer.
Yeah, well, I got a job this summer, right? And so I didn't have POTS when I started, but then I got diagnosed while I was in the middle of it. And so I worked at Tom Thumb, right? So I had to clear the lot, in the heat. And so I brought in a note that, like, this was about 3/4 away when I was done with work. Let me rephrase that. Forget it. After I gave them the notes that I couldn't do the lot and all that stuff, they started they scheduled me normal for like a week. But then after 1 week, they started scheduling me for like 7 hours a week, but with 1 hour on each day. Because I was assuming they just didn't want me to work there because I couldn't, do everything that anyone else could. And so I finally just quit because I was tired of working, 7 hours a week, 1 hour on each day, not making it so hard.
Well, and you're at an age where it's not absolutely necessary for you to be working that job to pay the medical bills. So it's a little more flexible, and it still hurt really bad. But especially for those of y'all who are working to pay your bills, that is illegal.
Yes, sir. I thought I was underhanded, is what I thought. I just wish they would have told me to quit when I gave it to them.
Right.
That's my concern. I teach, and my department knows. I mean, I just got diagnosed in the summer. My department knows, and they're helpful, and they're not letting me lift things or, looking out for me, but I haven't yet gone to the nurse or the administration because I'm afraid they'll say, well, if you have that many problems, then, we're having a budget crisis.
Or what if the principal looks in your window and sees you sitting?
Yeah.
No.
What if I faint in class? Are they going to say,
No, it really behooves you. It behooves you to talk to your administrator because they need to be there to support you. They can't hold that against you. That's an Americans with Disabilities Act issue, ADA issue. So you're protected by that. I wouldn't hesitate. You've got to communicate with them so they know how to support you.
And take the information with you as well, and of course.
I know I need to talk to the nurse in case I faint in class.
Yes.
I'm afraid that she'll just be like, I've never heard of that.
Have you met the nurse?
But take the dynamic.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Take the dynamic pages. Those wonderful.
Yeah.
About 8 or 9 pages. It's kind of a summary. It's excellent. Take that.
And
with
it's
you.
so simple that somebody who's never heard of it
Can read
feels
it.
like they understand it.
Yes, they can. It's easy to read. Nathan, I'm sorry, you weren't finished. I wanted you to catch your breath. I want you to catch your breath, Nathan, so you can charge forward.
Yeah, I don't really want to tell anybody at school about this because it's not that they're going to make fun of me. I know they're not going to. I don't want everyone to think of Nathan as, that crippled guy who can't do anything, you know what I'm saying? And I mean, it's not really such a big deal at school because I never really get dizzy at school or anything. I mean, the teachers know stuff like that.
Yeah, Dr. Solomon wrote us a letter.
Good.
Yeah.
I immediately hand-delivered it to the principal.
Wonderful.
And
That's
it
the way to
got
do it.
spread to the teachers.
Good.
And I thought they asked me to follow up with a detailed email of the symptoms and what they needed to look for if he wasn't feeling good.
Excellent. Well, don't think of it as looking at yourself as crippled. Just look at it that you have, instead of a mole, you have POTS. I mean, we all have deformities. I
We
mean,
all have challenges.
we're not perfect. So, yeah, please don't think of
I
it.
wasn't thinking of it that way. I'm saying everyone else would think of it that way.
Oh, everyone. I see what you're saying. Okay, I'm sorry. I projected that incorrectly.
That's where
I'm sorry. Correct me. Thank you for correcting me, Nathan. Yes.
I had a good friend. I allowed myself to have just one friend in each class that knew about it.
That's a good
So,
idea.
because sometimes I would have to tell them, you go to the nurse, you tell a teacher,
Right.
And it's really important to have that one person that can stand up for you when you have
Yes.
to run out the classroom.
Right.
And the,
That's a good advice.
and the teacher's saying, I'm calling the principal. And
Yeah.
No. She'll be okay.
Also, she did have a 504 plan.
Good.
So
Okay.
whenever
That
that
fits
was able, if she needed to run to the restroom, they would question her, even if she was taking
Perfect.
a tap.
And that is another avenue that you can also access 504, which is not special education, but there are some advantages by going through 504 because it is an anti-discrimination statute and it's protected by the Office of Civil Rights. If you have some concerns or you feel like you're being discriminated against, and that really includes the workplace, you may contact the Office of Civil Rights. It's located here in Dallas. This is Richardson in Dallas.